Hello and welcome to Business Daily on Trust Television, and we are set to bring you up-to-the-minute updates on developments in the world of business and the stock market. I am your host, Christiana Amodu-Otinya. Thank you for tuning in. First, we'll begin with the headlines, and we'll begin from the sector of trade. Foreign trade, weak oil sales push Nigeria's transactions lower. You get to hear more about what's happening with weak oil sales in the Business Roundup segment of the program. However, I'll take a short breather. When we come back, time to delve into the stock market. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's get straight into what's happening in the stock market. We begin, of course, from Custom Street, talking about the local buzz in Nigeria, the Nigeria Exchange, and we saw a bullish close for the Nigeria Exchange up to 0.20%, and the all share index, that's the benchmark, at 48,366.69. On activity level, we saw a total volume of 184.66 million shares, valued at 3.57 billion naira, change hands in 3,189 deals on the floor of the local buzz. The equity cap, however, settled at 26.34 trillion naira. So we've seen the stock market still staying significantly bullish. We're seeing a green run happening on the Nigeria stock market. Over now to other African buzzes that we'll bring to you on the program. So we have two reds here coming in from Johannesburg and in Ghana. The JSE is down 0.55% in South Africa, and the Ghanaian buzz shed 0.11%. Over in the US, stock futures were just under the flight line for Wednesday close. Now in Wall Street in the United States, we are seeing a lot of focus. Markets is watching for cues, especially as it relates to what will be the body language, what will be the announcement that will come from the US Fed. So we are seeing a sea of red here for markets in the US. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 1.03%. The S&P 500 shed 1.44%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite is down 2% there. Now in Europe, European stocks were also muted as jitters sent in over the state of the global economy. So the fears around what does the year 2023 hold for the markets? Is there a recession in sight? Is there a global recession? Where should investors put their monies? Now, that's what is really affecting the market. So we have a 0.28% here, opening for the FTSE 100. The CAC run is up marginally 0.03%. And in Germany, the DAX shed 0.08%. In the Asia-Pacific region, Hong Kong stocks saw sharp declines, leading losses in the region as China announced further easing of COVID-19 measures. The Nikkei 225 in Japan down 0.72%, the Shanghai Composite down 0.40%, and in South Korea, the Kospi shed 0.43%. Going over now to the commodities chart, let's see what the chart looks like. It's a mixed bag for commodities here, and for the international benchmark for crude oil, that's talking about oil prices. Now, we saw a slump that was the largest for the market since the month of September, when Brent crude traded for $62 per barrel. We have $79 per barrel here, and the market is still staying in the red zone significantly. Now, the fears over economic uncertainty, the prospect of higher interest rates, how this will affect the market. And we are seeing that sending jitters down into the investment sector, talking about the investment in the stock market. For the bullion is up 0.06%, still staying around the mark of the $1,700 mark per ounce, 1,771 as you can see there. And for all the commodities, we are seeing a mixed bag. Majorly, the only agri-commodity we have here in red zone is palm oil, shedding 2.05% at $4,010 per metric ton. However, for wheat and cocoa, we are seeing them staying largely bullish, up 0.72% and 0.21% respectively. Now, going to the crypto watch, what's happening with cryptocurrencies? Of course, we are seeing that the market is also in the bear zone. So the bears are taking control of the cryptocurrency market. We have Bitcoin down 1.42%, Ethereum down 2.44%, almost 3% there, and the Binance Coin down 1.92%, almost 2% there. So those are numbers we have for you on the program today. Let's quickly give you the business roundup for today. Take a listen.
Nigeria's foreign trade transactions fell to 11.59 trillion naira in the third quarter of 2022 from 12.84 trillion naira in the previous quarter, owing largely to low oil sales. According to new data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, when compared to the corresponding period in 2021, the country's foreign trade in Q3 2022 is 10.7% higher than the 10.47 trillion naira recorded during the same period last year. Total exports stood at 5.93 trillion naira in Q3 2022, indicating a decline of 19.89% when compared to 7.4 trillion naira in Q2. However, it increased by 15.52% when compared with the 5.13 trillion naira recorded in Q3 of 2021. Low crude oil sales weakened Nigeria's foreign trade in Q3 as crude oil exports stood at 4.66 trillion naira, indicating a decrease of 21.15% when compared to the 5.9 trillion naira recorded in Q2. It, however, increased by 15.70% compared to 4.02 trillion naira in Q3 of 2021. According to the data, the top 5 export destinations in the third quarter of 2022 were Spain, India, France, the Netherlands and Indonesia, while China, the Netherlands, India, Belgium and the United States were the top 5 countries of origin of imports to Nigeria in Q3.
All right, that's the business roundup. Also, talking about roundup of business stories, we saw the big story coming in from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, the CBN imposing cash withdrawals limits on individuals and organizations with effect from January 9, 2022. Now, individuals will be able to only withdraw 100,000 naira per week from the POS, the automated teller machines, ATMs, and over the counter, while companies will access 500,000 naira. We're supposed to be joined on the program by Dr. Emmanuel Shaibu Ideyin. He is a financial analyst, supposed to speak to these developments from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Welcome to the program, Dr. Ideyin.
Good morning. Good to be with you today.
All right, let's have you speak to this announcement we saw coming from the CBN.
Thank you very much. Specifically in October, when the Central Bank mentioned the design of Naira, a lot of cold shivers went on people's shoulder. But on 31st of October, I specifically shared on my timeline that CBN will come out with a joker. And I wasn't surprised CBN coming out with this. First, it has reduced the limit of cash withdrawal, as you can see. It doesn't mean you cannot withdraw more than that. It simply means that you will be charged 5% of the excess for individuals and 10% of the excess for corporate. The next thing that comes to mind is, why would you be keeping cash for what reason when you can actually do transfers either your mobile or USSD? The truth of the matter is, CBN knows exactly what to do, and this is not a surprise to me. And that's why you can do little transfers and small, as little as 5,000, 1,500. The beneficiaries will get. The interconnectivity of all the payment partners have improved in the last 2-3 years. The issue of dispense and not the credit has also been improved in terms of the response. So what it means is that CBN can only control what is in their coffers. If it's not in their coffers, it cannot be controlled.
Doctor, I want you to speak to the concerns that have been raised about how this will affect, especially the point of sale attendants, and how this will also have a ripple effect on Nigerians, before I let you go.
Okay, the point of sale, I can tell you for free, maybe it's not in the public domain, that they have also been used to perpetrate fraud by the managers of those POS, the connivance with other people in the value chain. So what it means is that, do you really need that much cash in your custody? That's the question. So if you do not need, and the alternate channels, the POS, the ATMs are working, why not use them to be transfer? So that if it is legitimate, why be afraid that it will be tracked? We have cases of people with the POS going to the ATM to withdraw with 10, 15 different ATM cards because they want to have cash in their custody. That cannot happen now. And even if you're a corporate organization and you have legitimate need to withdraw above the limit, then you state your reasons because part of that member says you state the purpose of your need for cash that was approved by the number one person of the organization, and the MD of that bank will have to approve it before it can withdraw. So we are going back to what cashless really is.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel Ideyin Shaibu, joining us from Plateau State. Of course, Doctor, it's an ongoing conversation. We'll definitely talk more about what will come out from this decision and in the end, how it will improve Nigerian economy. Thank you so much, Doctor.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Now, on the other end of the program, we will be discussing the power sector, taking a review and looking down the line in the year 2022 in retrospect. How has the sector fared? Now, we know that we are currently at a peak of 4,735 megawatts and a capacity of 4,800 megawatts. I will be joined on the program by Uket Obonga. He's the General Secretary of the Nigerian Electricity Consumers Advocacy Network. So he will be speaking to some of these issues on the program today. So he promises to be a packed one. Don't go anywhere. The program continues shortly.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Really, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. I thank you for still staying there with us on the program. Like I mentioned earlier, I have the Secretary of the Nigerian Electricity Consumer Advocacy Network. With me in the studio is Uket Obonga, and he'll be speaking to developments in the power sector. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. Now, I really want you, we're having a conversation just before we came into the studio and looking at what we have seen that has played out in the power sectors. Of course, there are high sides, there are low sides, but what's your assessment of the sector so far down the line?
Well, thank you very much. The issue of the power sector, for me, is really sad. Because the policy to privatize the power sector, the federal government offloading 60% of its equity holdings, as far back as decision taken as far back as 2005 under the Obasanjo administration, that eventually, was consummated into November 1st, 2013. Yes. Is sad. Electricity market in Nigeria is huge, very huge. And the problems we have is first and foremost the policy strategies that were used from the beginning. For instance, the models that were adopted in midwifing the privatization exercise, which up till this moment, government has not thought it wise to review. I mean, I just heard you say that we now have a capacity of about maybe available capacity or transmission capacity or distribution capacity of 4,000 plus megawatts, which is sad. It therefore means from 2013 to date, how many years? We can only increase capacity by 2,000 plus with all the trillions sunk into the sector. And nobody is bothered to review. If we are talking of evaluating the performance of the NERSI today, we go to the end users, those who are using electricity. Has the situation improved? Have we closed the yawning gaps in the sector, in the economy? We are told that combined generation capacity, both grid, off-grid, and other sources, today is 70 gigawatts. That is the demand of Nigerians. But you come to the grid, what the 25 thermal power plants and the 3 hydropower plants and others, solar or whatever you call them, put together, we are told the installed capacity is 12.1 gigawatts. For how long are we going to continue this?
I hear all you say, and I want to ask, what then is the clog in the wheel of progress in the power sector?
Number one, like I said, the policy strategies that were adopted, which are still put in place, not reviewed. For instance, you got investors who do not have the financial capacity to invest, and you encourage them to go to commercial banks to obtain loans to invest. And they are expected to generate these monies by selling electricity, generating, distributing, and selling to end users. The reason why you have endless upward review of electricity tariff is all in a bid to do what? To generate more money. There is liquidity crisis in the sector. There's no doubt about that. Their electricity is capital incentive, which requires adequate funding. The funds are not there. Today we have the investors or the creditors who gave out loans facilities to the investors, so-called, taking over the distribution companies because they could not recover this thing. And they are running the show. And they are not prepared to invest, to expand and improve on the distribution network. All that they are interested in is to get their money. They don't care how they get the money. And who is the loser here is the consumers. So you don't, like I said in the beginning, the policy that enabled or encouraged the so-called investors to obtain loans when they had no financial capacity. And when they obtained these loans, remember in 2012, 2013, the exchange rate was about 148, 150.
Yes.
Today, what is the exchange rate? And they were unable to do what? To pay the loans. Why? You brought in people who were lacking the 3 capacities: financial capacity, managerial capacity, and technical capacity. And you handed over the assets to them. And at the end of the day, they messed it up.
What kind of review will work? Because, like you have said, we have seen these reviews over and over again.
They have not yet done the entire review. We have been shouting, we have been calling on government to do it, to review the entire process. Listen, if you are traveling on a road and you have missed your road, I think the most simple and logical thing to do is to retrace a step back, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We are not saying that they should do away with privatization. Mm-hmm. For instance, we have franchise areas given out to distribution companies that are too large. They cannot. Why can't you do what? Review the franchise areas. Bring in other investors to invest. You take, for instance, Kano Disco, covering how many states? Of Kano, Jigawa, and Katsina. Why can't you give Kano State to an investor? Give Jigawa to another investor. Give Katsina to another investor. We are talking here in Abuja that covers FCT, the territory, the Federal Capital Territory, Niger State, Kogi State, Nasarawa State. Mm. And AEDC does not have the financial muscle and capacity to expand their distribution infrastructure in these areas. Now, you are talking of liquidity. If you are talking of liquidity, it means you have to generate more money.
Sure.
But now, why do they reject load allocations on daily basis? It's because they will tell you they cannot sell. But there are Nigerians out there who are ready to pay for this electricity if it is given to them and they can afford it. But now, you have not done customer enumeration. We don't have that data at all. Electricity is a measurable quantity. Everything in electricity is figures. Figures.
Yes.
And you rely on figures. You don't have reliable data in the NERC. It is not there. And we have been shouting our voices to these people that conduct a national customer enumeration exercise. Let us know the number of Nigerians in electricity. Let us know who is using electricity, who is paying what. The data is not there. Before I came here, I checked up. Next says there are 10.2 million Nigerians in electricity.
Yes.
It's a lie from the pit of hell.
NEC will tell you that we went out, carried out the survey.
Where?
So how
when
can
did
you
they go out?
discredit the work that
the
they have gone
regulator
out to do?
is dependent on the regulator for his data. When did NEC go out to carry out the survey? I challenge them. I'm talking on television. They should come and tell Nigerians when, where they conducted that survey. They are seated in Abuja. How many of them are here in Abuja? 222 of them, about that. You take out a fraction of 223 of them and send them, multiply by 29, you send them to the fields in 29 states. The rest are here. Do they sit here to monitor what is going on in 36 states of the Federation and FCT? See, if we must get it right, you are talking of liquidity.
Yes.
You are talking of metering gap.
Yes.
Right? You can't be talking of a metering gap whose size you don't know. You are producing these phones, for instance, and you have a market of 5 million. Those who need to buy these phones from you. You are planning, projections, and strategies will be on how to capture these 5 million, isn't it? But if you don't have the figures, you don't know the size and the numbers, you'll be going on speculation, just like what is going on here.
I want you to speak to the issue of investments, because
Yes.
now you have talked about having fresh investors come in. And
Bring in fresh
bringing
investors alongside with this one.
alongside the ones we
Yes.
have on ground now. But then again, investors want to put their monies in a place they know would work.
Yes.
So if investors, if the sector as on its own have not given a picture, have not sent out a picture that this is something that can be handled, don't you think that's one of the processes impeding the investment?
Yes. Why? Governance, when we are talking of review of the entire privatization exercise, we are not talking counseling. There's a difference between counseling it and reviewing it. To review is to look at areas that you are not doing well and work out strategies on how to smoothen them so that the sector will make progress. So now, like I said, what will give an investor, that incentive for him to come with his money? He must know that if he's put a businessman wants profit.
Yes.
If he's bringing his money here, the policies must be right. The governance structures must be right. And when we are talking of governance structure here, we are talking of the regulator, NEC. They must be independent, not the interference of those in government in Aso Rock, taking decisions that are supposed to be taken by the regulator. The independence of the regulator must be guaranteed if you want foreign investors to come with their money. Not like what happened here. People sat down somewhere, wanted to take over a disco because they have people in power. And at the end of the day, you can't do that, and you think foreign investors will come in.
What's your land on your thoughts?
Then another thing again is that when the governance structure is independent and right, and policies are right,
Yes.
then the investors want to know if you are giving him, say, Nasarawa State, for instance, to go and run as a franchise area.
Yes.
The investor will want to know how many households and individuals in Nasarawa State are using electricity.
Okay, I think our time is almost off, and I have my director in my ear ringing the time bell to me. I want to get your thoughts on, as we go forward, in 30 seconds, what beyond the review, what other parts should be addressed for better power supply for Nigerians?
Yes, they have to make federal government that controls TC and has to invest in transmission, because we have generation, transmission, and distribution. But between generation and distribution, you have a gap here, which is created by TCN. And TCN has a limit within which they can go. If you generate 5.5
Yes.
and you push it into the alliance,
Yes.
it will not go, it will collapse. So investment has to be done on TCN. Then at the distribution end, there must be investment. They must be encouraged to invest, to expand, and to bring in more customers so that you get more money.
Thank you so much, Uket Obonga, there, the Secretary of NEC, and speaking to issues around the power sector. Now, you have made some claims about the NEC here, and we'll reach out to the people, we'll reach out to those at the NEC office, because it is only right that we also get to hear from them. Hopefully, we would also bring you into that conversation.
I will very much want to sit with them. Let us
around that. Thank you once again for joining us on the program to share your thoughts. And that's where we draw the curtains. Like Mr. Uket Obonga have stated, the importance of data is very, very critical, especially at this times. Nigerians don't just want power at the end of the tunnel. They want power to run their businesses and power to go about their daily activities. That's where we call it a wrap. I am your host, Christiana Amodu-Otiya. Don't forget, you can get all the updates on our social media platforms. Trust us to bring you the news as they come in across different sectors of the Nigerian economy and the polity. Have a great day ahead. Bye for now.